All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the Tableau Sports and Entertainment user group here for February. My name is Carlos Kesbers, and I am an analytics consultant here with Interworks that will be helping along with a good amount of other people that have done some tremendous work to get this up and running for this month. Excited for this session today. Hopefully you were able to log in and register, talk a little bit about what's ahead for the next hour. We'll do some real quick introductions and a welcome to everybody and talk about the people, places, and things that help put this together. We will hear from the New York Giants on user experience and how to make things a little bit more intuitive for everybody to help drive adoption. And then we're going to hear from Vail Resorts and how using Tableau has improved their ability to face some challenges that they've had with capacity restrictions, like I know a lot of teams have as well too. And then we'll do some closing remarks and some questions for the panelists or anybody at Interworks or Tableau as well too. Quick round of who we are. We've got Russell Scibetti with the New York Giants, Jacob Rosen with Vail Resorts, and then shout out to some wonderful, wonderful people. Mikkel with Tableau. And Mikkel is new to the sports vertical with Tableau. So Mikkel, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, as Carly's mentioned, I'm new to the sports vertical, but I've done a little bit of work with our user group that's based in the UK. So I'm excited to help get this group up and running and more US focused, but looking forward to working with you all still in the future and seeing what I can do to help in this industry.
Wonderful, thank you. And then on the Interworks side, we have Amanda and Brittany as well. To both of you, I'm not sure if you want to just say a quick hello or anything, but very, very helpful in getting this whole thing up and running.
Thanks, Carlos. We're just here in the background. Amanda and I, Brittany Dunn here, partner marketing manager for Interworks. We're involved a lot across a ton of Tableau user groups. And so we've been able to support Carlos and others get this up and running. And we'd love to see this community grow as time has gone. So when it comes to being involved, we'd love to hear from you all. That's always what we're asking. We're here in the background, just making sure everything's running. And yeah, thanks, Carlos.
Awesome. Thank you, Brittany. And my name's Carlos Kesbers again. I've actually been in the sports industry for about 15 years or so, working with teams like the Phoenix Suns and the Oklahoma City Thunder. And so excited to work with Interworks on the data visualization space here with Tableau as well. Also, Jimmy used to be the host of this for Interworks. So Jimmy, if you're on the call, thank you for allowing me to steal some of your slides from previous sessions. They may look pretty familiar to you as we start rolling through here. So just quick things to go over. The use of this user group is really to share best practices, tips, things that are specific to Tableau and data. It's an opportunity to connect with people around the country or even the globe, as the last user group that we used was from across the pond as well too. So I encourage you to ask questions, put those in the Q&A here in the Zoom, and really take some good notes and bring them back to your own organizations and how you could potentially get better using Tableau as well too. We're also very, very open to suggestions. So if you have ideas or thoughts or people that you think might be really good panelists for us, I'd encourage you to reach out to us as well too. So it is obviously, I know as we all have the quote unquote kind of virtual fatigue that we all have, and we're all kind of begging to get back into person. Please know that these are really good opportunities to still get in front of people, to still network. But once we all do go back to a normal working environment, we are definitely going to be active in the typical conferences like the Tableau conference, Sloan, Seek, various conferences like that as well too. So this is just another really good opportunity for everybody to network in a virtual environment. Like I said, please do post questions for the speakers in the Q&A box. Use the chat features to interact with each other as well too. It doesn't have to be just with the people speaking that are on screen. I know a lot of you guys are connected outside of this as well too. So if you see friends, familiar faces, familiar names, please do use this as an opportunity to connect with them as well too. And just general housekeeping. We typically host this user group once a quarter, but thanks to some of Mikkel's great work and some other people that have really stepped up that would like to participate, our goal really is to host this maybe even more often. There's a lot of terrific work that has been done in data visualization and analytics and can be showed off in this. So our goal really is to hopefully get this to maybe once a month, maybe every 6 weeks or so. But a lot of that's going to depend on you and the great stuff that you guys have put together and that you would be able to present as well too. So again, use the chat functionality, and then also just our fun little legal housekeeping thing here too, that Jacob and Russell have some really great stuff prepared for us. And although that they are showing a lot of this stuff in this kind of quote unquote public virtual environment, it doesn't necessarily represent the thoughts and views of their organizations or Interworks or Tableau. And if I can put on my NFL commercial hat right now, it cannot be used unless you have the express written consent of Russell and Jacob as well too. So fortunately, hearing that in the commercials for the past probably 20 years of my life, I felt like I relayed that pretty well. So that was fun. As always, if you guys have any questions at all about anything that happens here today, I'd encourage you to reach out as well too. Trivia time. Wonderful, wonderful partners at Tableau have offered up $30 gift cards to the Tableau store. So go ahead and use the chat feature, get prepared, and I'm going to go ahead and throw a trivia question up. If I can. All right, $30 gift card, first person to answer correctly in the chat. So whether you know this off the top of your head or you're able to just Google it quickly, both are okay. Who is the oldest pitcher in Major League Baseball history to steal a base? Oh, Bjorn up in Minnesota says Nolan Ryan. That's incorrect. Will here in Oklahoma City says CC Sabathia. Oh, there it is. Harrison. All right. The answer, if I can pop it up here, Greg Maddux. So wonderful. Harrison, great guess, or great quick Google right there as well too. Here is an actual clip of that actually happening. Greg Maddux against his old team in 2008, stealing a base, becoming the oldest baseball player, or oldest pitcher in Major League history to steal a base. So congrats. Harrison, $30 gift card to the Tableau store over to you. Well done, sir. With that being said, I am going to turn it over to Russell Scibetti with the New York Football Giants. But prior to doing that, I did want to add in one little thing here, and one thing I'll be doing to hopefully all of the panelists, based on what I personally either know about them or research that I have done on them online, to just give a little glimpse into their personality before kicking off into the data. So Russell, one quick question for you. And I know you and I have talked about this movie quite a bit. If you were overseeing the business intelligence team for the Chicago Cubs in 1993, what would be the dynamic pricing strategy for Henry Rowan Gardner's debut?
So this is a great question. Yes, we've talked about this way too much. The interesting thing, if you remember about Henry Rowan Gardner's debut, was he came out of the bullpen. So you couldn't properly dynamically price as if you knew he was going to be in the starting rotation that day. Which once he got into the rotation, then absolutely, you would definitely be able to price up those games pretty aggressively. You probably would have priced up a little bit just from the excitement of signing him, because people wanting to see that first debut. But you definitely left value on the table because you didn't know it was coming.
Well said, Russell. And for those of you at home, Russell had that question just prepared in the back of his head because he was so passionate about that. Wonderful movie. So good job, Russell. I'm going to go ahead and turn the screen sharing over to you, and you can help drive us through this next portion. Wonderful. All right, trivia round two before we get over to Jacob. Another $30 gift card is up for grabs here. I'm going to make sure I open up the chat so that I can see. Everybody gets your keyboards ready here. All right, so the question, who is the youngest active player in the NBA? So we're going age questions here. We had the oldest Major League Baseball. All right. Oh, I clicked too far. Oh, but Chris, a little bit cheating here. Chris Hagner in Oklahoma City said, Alexei Pokusevsky, congrats. He is 19 years old in the NBA. So, Chris, I had no idea you were even on the call. Congrats to you. You probably knew that right off the top of your head. Great job there. Well done. Okay, so now we're going to go over to Jacob with Vail Resorts. And similar to what we did with Russell, I'm going to go ahead and ask Jacob one question here. And Jacob, I apologize, but I went through your Twitter feed and tried to find something really, really good to ask here to show some personality. And what I found out was that you have some opinions on movies. So my question to you, Jacob, what type of movie is My Best Friend's Wedding?
It's undeniably a musical. It's totally a musical. And just to share, I've been watching plenty of late 90s and early 2000s rom-coms as our latest form of quarantine entertainment. So yes, this is a musical, clearly.
And why do you say that?
It's got one of the best musical number scenes in a film in history. So yeah, it has to be a musical.
Wonderful. Awesome. Well, Jacob, I will turn the controls over to you for your portion.
Absolutely. Thanks much. And I should have known better than to follow Russell. I used to work under Russell, and many of you perhaps know me from my days at Core Software. Yeah, that's a tough act to follow. But great to see so many familiar names. Hello, I'm Jacob Rosen. I'm now a senior manager of reporting and data enablement at Vail Resorts. And I realize, starting off here, that many folks in this chat may not know that much about Vail Resorts. So wanted to spend some time with some background before getting into how we've been using Tableau during this peculiar world and season that we are in. Just want to also note to Carlos's points earlier, Vail Resorts is a publicly traded organization. All the data, all the images and the like I'm sharing are all from our annual 10K or quarterly earnings releases, other public materials, but just as Carlos said at the beginning, views I share do not represent the views of the organization, should not be viewed as forward-looking investment guidance or anything like that. So just wanted to do the additional legal disclaimer with respect to a public organization. So Vail Resorts, you may know us from our presence in Colorado, and certainly the 4 resorts I've got here in Eagle and Summit counties. These are among the top visited resorts in the United States. Vail, very familiar in the name, Beaver Creek, Breckenridge, and Keystone. Our office, just to share, is also in Broomfield, closer to the Boulder area of Denver. So I live in Denver myself, office closer to Boulder. My office is not in Vail. I'm not skiing every single day. Trying to get out there as much as we can. But good to kind of ground in where these are, where our office is as a starting point, but also to share how much bigger our footprint is now as an organization and how it's grown over the last 7 years. Jump on over this. So we were just talking about some of these resorts in Colorado and how we've had those for decades. Always, I've had Park City and Canyons for the last decade or so, resorts in Tahoe, some resorts in the Midwest. But over the last 7 years, just helpful to show in this version of Tableau, how this has evolved. Started our footprint in Australia, purchased Whistler Blackcomb, and another Midwest resort, Whistler Blackcomb being the resort with the most visitation in North America during the most recent completed ski season. Started our presence in the Northeast, bought Crested Butte, Triple Peaks, which includes Stevens Pass, Okemo, and Sunapee, and then bought 2 additional resorts in Australia, as well as all of Peak Resorts, which vastly increased our footprint throughout the Midwest and Northeast, and helpful perhaps to zoom in back in on North America to show you all of this footprint. So yes, Eagle and Summit County in Colorado, also Crested Butte, Tahoe, Whistler, Stevens Pass, Midwest, and a lot more mountains now in our footprint throughout the Northeast and Midwest. And so as our footprint has grown, so has our pass holder base. And speaking through this presentation and Vail Resorts with the folks, we're kind of like our own sports league in a sense. We have 37 resorts we own and operate throughout the globe, 34 in North America. We also have a number of partner resorts through which purchasing an Epic Pass can get you access. And as shared in our public materials, our pass holder base has grown substantially over the last 7 years. Obviously, there's been some degrees of product innovation that has gone into this, but as I'll talk through, also a bit of the impact of COVID-19. So just 7 years ago, only 400,000 pass holders in what we share publicly. This year, 1.4 million. Within those product innovations, we launched a affordable military pass to support and honor our organization and Vail's history with the armed forces. So there's now a very affordable pass for folks who are active, retired, and veteran military members and their families. Last season, before COVID hit, we launched Epic Day Pass, which enabled for cheap pass offerings in advance, where they get you 1 to 7 days of access at, again, a very affordable discounted rate. And then this season, which I'll talk about in more detail, we had the reservation system effect. So for the very first time in sort of the industry's history, we had capacity considerations. Historically, ski resorts have just opened up, sold a bunch of passes, you sold some day tickets and the like, and you didn't have capacity considerations. But with the impact of COVID, which ended our season early last year in mid-March, we've had to adjust to how we operate in this new reality. And it came out with an announcement over time. So March hit, resorts all closed. In August, we came out with an announcement that our pass holders would have an exclusive early season access window and also an exclusive early season booking window for their priority reservation days. And I'll talk through a bit of this calendar as well as some of the examples of how we've shared and used Tableau to support this season. So we now set in August. What we announced we'd be doing is we'd be launching this whole reservation platform for the very first time in November, opening some resorts in November. So Keystone was the first to open, Breckenridge, several others throughout the end of November. And this entire time frame of November 6th, when Keystone opened, until the core season started, was all exclusive to pass holders only. And that was a new construct for us this season in its entirety. In addition, during this entire window, we were not yet selling paid lift tickets. And so this was all an exclusive booking window for pass holders during this time frame to book out their days for the core season, which started on December 8th until April 4th. There were limitations of you could only book 7 priority reservation days, or if you had like a day pass, you could only book up to the number of days on your pass. But this was how we were essentially changing the entire game for the industry and for our organization. And this calendar, again, walks through some of these milestones when resorts were opening. Certainly many resorts were continuing to open through December. But as we got to New Year's, all 34 of our North American resorts had opened by that point in time. And how we were using Tableau throughout this entire season, throughout this entire setup and analysis, has been a big part of everything. A little bit less of these calendars, a little bit more so of these kinds of examples here, where we're showing resorts by resorts, and obviously this is very anonymized and very randomized data, but the intention was to show you kind of how we've used this, and we've used it through dashboards, and we've predominantly used it through PDFs that we're sending out to executives. So give them all the data about resorts, about day-over-day reservation trends, about what % of pass holders have booked however many days, have all pass holders engaged with the system yet, and how then lift tickets are selling as we eventually launch lift tickets. And so eventually we could see in advance how we're looking for certain days over time. And now we're talking about the ski industry and ski resort capacity management, similar to a sports team. We don't have stadiums, we don't have XYZ coordinates as with what Russell shared, but we do now have a capacity number for every given day and every given resort. And we are then selling reservations against that capacity number. And so we can track what's been reserved against capacity, what's been reserved against our budget expectations, what's been released against budget expectations. Are there certain days where capacity is actually a factor? And publicly, we've always talked about the fact that only expected to be a factor for certain big visitation days at certain mountains. This capacity system, the whole entire reservation system, never expected to have an effect for the vast majority of days at the vast majority of resorts throughout the season. But we've used Tableau for predominantly, again, things like this, showing heat maps, showing resorts by resorts against each other, showing how we came up with these released inventory numbers to what is available to the public. And then again, in PDFs. So, every day We have multiple PDFs going out to our executive committee, as well as to all of our resort operators, articulating this capacity versus reservations, lift efficiencies, all new world of data that we're looking at that we had not been a focus before. When you just can sell passes, it's a totally different space, but now we are operating in ways much similar to a team. And so it's been kind of neat to use some of my background and experiences from the days at Core to affect how we've had to evolve and to affect how we are continuing to use and expand our footprint with Tableau this season, and hopefully not the same way into the future. Certainly intending to not have a reservation system into next season, but we've now kind of proven out how we can share data throughout the entire organization. That is a really cool blueprint itself.
Jacob, very, very cool stuff. One question from me on this, and because it was a subtle thing that you put in there, but Tableau stories.
Yeah, it's fun to do it.
Are you a frequent user of that?
Not frequently, and again, admitting that we use Tableau a lot of times for PDFs, but was felt like a fun opportunity to dive into some stories, so as to not be bouncing around. And I play enough with slides, and certainly many of us always do on a daily basis. So this was a fun little experiment for me to reach out a little bit and some Tableau things I haven't done in a while.
That's great. All right, I'll go ahead and steal the screen share back. All right, two super cool presentations. Russell and Jacob, thank you guys so much, first and foremost, for taking some time out of your busy schedules to help make things functional for us. If you guys have questions at all for Russell or for Jacob or for Mikkel or myself, please do let me know. I've got the Q&A open here. Here's one. Sam said, on the inventory heat map example from Jacob, thoughts around the color band selected, color blindness friendly palettes, question mark. That's a great question right there. Totally. Jacob, any considerations on that?
Definitely had come up, I know, in some of the early stages of the design, and we used lots of different colors. I recognized it to be overstimulating as well, but had not been a factor in how we designed it, mostly towards the view of whom is our audience here, what do these executives want to see, and to design to their desires. I know back when I was at Core, this was a frequent conversation topic of how do you design things universally, or for thousands or hundreds of organizations and end users. But it's when I have clients now of the executives, give them what they want and continue to move forward. And if we had executives who were to comment this out, certainly can be adaptive. And I think there are plenty of options that we could have pursued too.
Awesome. Well said. All right, guys. Well, here we are. If you have any other questions, feel free to throw them in. This is kind of the last call for that. But if not, we'll definitely give you some time back to your hour. Thank you so much for joining us. This was a wonderful session. It went by very quickly. And I know we could probably host a couple different days of sessions and stuff like this as well, too. So many, many thanks to Jacob and Russell. Very, very cool stuff. Please reach out to them directly too as well. I know both are wonderful with feedback and questions and using Tableau really to help move their business forward. So wonderful stuff. If you have a desire to do some presenting yourself, is there something your organization is doing very well that you'd like to show off, please either reach out to myself or Mikkel as well at Tableau, and we will get you on the agenda. Next call tentatively scheduled is going to be in April of this year. So we've got a few weeks to get everything all set up for you. Please join the official group as well too. The link is there, usergroups.tableau.com/sports and entertainment, and share as well too. This is going to be a very big and supportive group, and we want to make sure that we can get it as big as possible as well too. So with that being said, thank you everybody so much for joining. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and we will talk to you again soon. Have a great day.